Welcome to another segment of Chant, the love song of the church. Last time we discussed cantillation and the various elements that would have made up singing in Jewish worship in the temple, synagogue, or in the home. And of course, this tradition came into Christian worship. However, with one important distinction. Perhaps you noticed in the passage we examined in 1 Chronicles chapter 25, David stipulated musicians should be part of the music of temple worship. However, in early Christian worship, there is very little evidence of instruments being used. And there is a very specific reason for this. Christianity grew up in a pagan context in the Roman Empire. And so we find in the writing of many of the church fathers prohibitions against the use of instruments because instruments often had pagan connotations. The use of the flute, the drums, the cithara, which would be like our guitar, was associated with certain celebrations that were licentious or emphasized drunkenness. And so in order to distinguish Christian worship from these pagan celebrations, instruments were very strictly forbidden. In fact, we even see in St. Basil the Great such an extreme position that he said whoever would use a cithara, just like a guitar, in Christian worship should be excommunicated, which seems very extreme, but of course they had to draw the distinction between the pagan worship and the worship of the true God. In addition, there's just a very positive reason to emphasize the human voice alone, and that's because the human voice was the instrument created directly by God. I've heard it said before that the most beautiful instrument is the human voice in the state of grace, because that is the instrument God created to give him worship and glory. So it makes sense not only to distance Christian worship from any pagan elements, but also to draw attention to the instrument that God himself created. So even today, we find that Gregorian chant, the church's love song, is most often sung unaccompanied with just the human voice alone. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to hear future episodes of Chant, the love song of the church.